Now streaming. Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect.
The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Now streaming, only on Disney Plus.
Setting the stage with deeper conversation, it's about a tale of two warnings. Orwell's 1984 comes true in Martin's Fabian Freeway. Good morning to you, Wayne Morrow. Thanks for being up here. Hopefully we're not keeping you up too much into the wee hours.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Thank you. Yes. Good morning.
I appreciate you. Yes, all of our guests on the East Coast. You know, it's funny to me because sometimes, somebody told me, why don't you just get guests on the West Coast? And I said, that's ludicrous. What about great guests on the East Coast? So thank you for being an East Coast guest. This is amazing.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, set the stage. I mean, on a serious note, there's a lot of controversy in many people's minds about the concept of the John Birch Society. And we're here to kind of squeeze out fact from fiction. But talk about this organization. It started back in, January 9, 1958, as you know better. But you're the CEO of this organization. Talk to us a little bit about how this organization got started.
All right. Well, first of all, the name John Birch is named after a Christian missionary from Macon, Georgia. And he was doing missionary work during probably in the 40s, a little bit before 43, 44. And his role was as a Christian missionary to evangelize the Chinese. Of course, the U.S. was involved with fighting the Japanese, and a guy by the name of Colonel Jimmy Doolittle was shot down in the China territory because we attacked Tokyo. And the Chinese said, hey, there's Americans, Mr. Birch, and they're down here, they're lost. Could you navigate them out of here? So we actually found them and navigated them out. And because of that, they enlisted in John Birch into the U.S. Army as a special agent, intelligence officer, because he knew the language, he knew his way around. And basically, Jimmy Doolittle's group, the folks that were shot down, actually got into safety. And so because of his work, they gave him an Army Distinguished Service Medal because he really risked his life in a really tough territory with the Japanese at that time. But here's the interesting thing. After the war was over, he stayed on, and it was about 10 days after the war, the communist Chinese approached him out in the areas or the mountains where he was at, and they killed him. And he was, Mr. Welch, our founder, said he's the first victim, or I should say the casualty of the Cold War. So we took his name, John Birch, as a Christian missionary from Macon, Georgia, and he was the first one giving his life for his country, but also for God. And the interesting thing about him, that Mao Zedong was installed by Joseph Stalin. So his death, the death of John Birch, was secret for 50 years. They locked up his files for 50 years on how he was murdered because of
interesting.
That was the case. If that was the case, most Americans wouldn't be giving money to the Chinese, and now we have Red China, and now you know the rest of the story.
That's amazing. As you describe, a missionary, but then working with the OSS, which was what, Wayne, is that the predecessor to the CIA under General Chennault? Right. That's amazing.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. So we took his namesake. Mr. Welch was the founder of the Birch Society. He was a wealthy businessman. He was I'm sure he was sugar babies and sugar daddies, and he was a candy manufacturer in Boston. And he was a brilliant man. I think he graduated at the University of North Carolina at 16 years old. But he was a real prodigy, and he said, look, I thought it was a real problem. I've been studying this. I traveled around in business, and he said, I see this feeling of network of communists and socialists encroaching in America. And the more study I do, the more I get concerned. So in 1958, in Indianapolis, he took some industrialists together and started the John Birch Society to expose what was going on, teaching Americanism to Americans again. And, of course, with that in mind, trying to, and he's done a good job, waken the Americans to the fact that there's this thing called conspiracy hard at work to destroy America.
Correct.
And that's how he all started. And because of that, of course, the conspirators, which we'll get into that, threw rocks and stones at him and said, you guys are crazy, you're tinfoil hat people, you don't know what you're talking about. And, of course, the first thing of a conspirator is to deny you exist, right?
You're exactly
so as we
right.
go through this conversation this evening, I'm going to go through the story with the Fabians, the CFR, and some words from them, because this has been going on for a long time. And I started almost 50 years ago when I was exposed to that, to the Vietnam era. I had to prove it to myself. And anybody's listening, hey, don't take my word for it. I give you some references and books and things that we've written. You do your own research. You're going to come to the same conclusion that it's hard at work as we speak today. I mean, look at what happened since 1950 to now. We're now heading in the right direction, right?